everyone! Are you excited for a fun learning experience? My name is Teacher Lynn, and we are going to talk about separating mixtures. And here are the following objectives for today's lesson. Identify sample techniques in separating mixtures. Describe the individual process and method of separating mixtures. Compare and contrast each techniques using certain indicators. State application and industrial importance of these techniques in our daily lives. Let's start with a question. What is a mixture? Mixtures are best defined as the physical combination of two or more different pure substances. These substances are physically combined together. Components of the mixture can be separated by physical means. Mixtures are also classified as homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture. For example, a cup of coffee is considered a homogeneous mixture since its individual components are evenly mixed together forming solution. On the other hand, a bowl of fruit contains visible components which are evenly mixed together. This kind of mixture is classified as heterogeneous, having a non-uniform appearance. Mixtures come in many different forms, and this time, let's talk about the different techniques separating a solid in a liquid mixture. We have here filtration, evaporation, and crystallization. The first method on separating solid in a liquid mixture is through filtration. This method separates an insoluble solid from the liquid using a filter. These solid particles are large in size, which contributes to the factor of it being insoluble in nature. So during the process, the insoluble solid obtained from the mixture that is retained in the filter paper is known as the residue. The residue was the sand particles. The liquid water that passed through is called the filtrate. Here are some applications of filtration. We use a filtering device attached on our faucets to filter out sediments from the tap water. Brewed coffee is apparently the most common example of filtration. Air conditioners also applies the process of filtration involving gases. Another way to separate the solid and liquid mixture is through evaporation. This method is used in separating a soluble solid in a liquid. In other words, we will obtain a solid which is completely and evenly mixed with the liquid, forming a solution. This process requires the presence of heat to make the liquid component evaporate and which leaves the soluble solid behind. The evaporation process involves the heating of the mixture, which in effect will allow the liquid substance to evaporate first, due to the difference in boiling point. When all the liquid components are evaporated completely, then a soluble solid substance is left from the mixture. Here are some practical applications of evaporation. First, we have a brine solution. When we heat this mixture, salt is obtained from the solution. Another example is the brown sugar solution. Constant heating will leave a crystalline soluble solid from the initial mixture. Crystallization is another technique in separating soluble solid in a liquid mixture. It is also similar with evaporation, but it does not require heat. Let me show you the step-by-step process of crystallization. 1. The impure solid is dissolved in a solvent. 2. The solution is heated to evaporate most of the solvent. 3. The solution is allowed to cool. The solid appears as pure crystals. Number 4. The cold solution is poured off to obtain the crystals. The crystals may be dried by pressing them between sheets of filter paper. Rock candy and syrup are examples of products that undergo crystallization process. The following techniques involves the separation of both miscible and immiscible liquids in a certain solution or mixture. We have distillation, solvent extraction, and paper chromatography. One way on separating liquid-liquid mixtures is through distillation. Distillation can be classified into simple and fractional distillation, which requires the presence of heat, while steam distillation uses steam to heat the mixture. All of these classifications separates the mixture through their relative boiling points. Simple distillation is probably the most common method of separating miscible liquids. The liquid with the lower boiling point evaporates faster from the solution. The vapor condenses and liquefied, then collected on the other container. The following are the components of simple distillation. Upon heating the mixture, the vapor rises and is collected into a flask called the condenser. The vapor that is cooled down and liquefied is called the condensate. The liquid that is separated from the solution is known as the distillate. Fractional distillation is the technique of separating miscible liquids into different liquid components through their boiling points. For fractional distillation, the boiling point difference between each liquid substances is relatively close with each other. The process also involves direct heating of the mixture. Liquid that evaporates are collected on each fractional distillation chambers. Here are some industries that practices the process of fractional distillation. The most common is the oil industry. The same method is applied in the production of beverages and liquors. And finally, fractional distillation is widely used in the field of petroleum and petrochemical industry. Next, we have steam distillation. This process separates miscible liquids from a solution with the use of steam instead of heat. This form of distillation is applicable on heat-sensitive substances in a mixture. Another method is solvent extraction, a technique used to separate substances based on their relative solubility. Each substances are separated into different layers of immiscible liquids. And the last method is paper chromatography. It separates dissolved substances from one another. It is also used when dissolved substances are colored, such as inks, food coloring, and plant dyes. All forms of chromatography works in the same principle. There you have it, everyone. Those are the methods and techniques in separating mixtures. These are the three possible ways in obtaining solids in a liquid mixtures. We have filtration, evaporation, and crystallization. We also have different techniques in separating liquid and liquid mixtures. We have distillation, solvent extraction, and paper chromatography. That ends our topic, and I hope you learned a lot. Happy learning!